Alrighty, well, for those who don't know yet, this is my 1983 Volvo 240 wagon, and I'm doing a Vortec 4200 swap into it. So a lot of this has been inspired by Calvin at the Nivlac57 YouTube channel. Him and his dad have been doing a lot of work with developing the 4200 engines and giving people the confidence to do this kind of stuff. So in my last video about this car, I did the engine mounts and got the engine and transmission in there mounted, hanging freely. And I mentioned something about building the turbo manifold next. And the day after I put that video up, Calvin messaged me in the morning and presented me a unique opportunity, which leads us to this box right here. So we're gonna open this box up, me and this tiny specimen here. I'm gonna slice it. Or you want me to slice it? Okay, that's a good stab. It was kind of biffed in the shipping. So we had part of it poking out of the box. And we have this big old turbo manifold. So this manifold here, I believe, is like a one-off unique piece. It was made by a company called Steed Speed. And from their website, it looks like they make a lot of diesel components, like diesel manifolds and stuff like that. So this is actually a two-piece billet manifold that's welded together. So it's all machined out and then welded together in two pieces. It does have a fully divided setup, and I believe it's a 44 millimeter wastegate on there. This is a little bit rusty, has some marks on it, but it sounds like it's been in Calvin's possession for a little while. Sounds like someone that was doing land speed racing ended up having this made and giving it to him, but they're not going to be using it, so they offered it to me. Hey, so I'm jumping ahead a little bit here, but I found out a little bit more information since I recorded the last clip. So the guy who originally had the manifold built, his name is Sumner, and he was a land speed racer. And it sounds like he was really into the Atlas stuff back in the day, like 10 years ago, and was using an Atlas 2900 in his land speed car, and has a lot of information on his website about the Atlas engine in general, including the 4200, the 5-cylinder, the 4-cylinder. There's a ton of stuff on there. So I did a little bit of digging around on that. It's a pretty cool website. I'll put the link in the description. Through that website, I was also able to find his YouTube channel, and it's One Fat GMC on YouTube. And he has some videos on there of land speed stuff from like 10, 15 years ago. Pretty cool stuff from what I've seen. There's one video he spins out the car going 245 miles an hour. So that one was from like 15 years ago. But One Fat GMC on YouTube, and then you could go to onefatgmc.com and it brings up this website also. But I'll put both the links and all that stuff in the description. So my understanding is that Sumner had this intake built. He wasn't planning on using it for his land speed car because he was doing something else, but for whatever reason had this thing built and never got around to using it. So when he found out that Calvin was doing the 4200 stuff, eventually sent it to Calvin for him to use it or send it to someone else. And that was kind of the deal, was use it or send it to a good home, basically. So Calvin and his dad decided they're not going to be using it, so now they sent it to me, and that's kind of where we are. So huge thanks to them. This thing looks pretty cool, and it'll save me a lot of time with having to build a manifold myself. The initial question that he asked was, how much distance do I have from the flange to the shock tower here, which was about 11.5 inches. So we measured that up, and it should fit in here, and we mocked it up with a 7875, which is what I'm going to be using. And it looks like it'll clear the hood based on our rough measurements that we had. So I'll put it on here quick. Okay, so there's the first look. That's what she looks like, and it clears hood line perfectly. It's gonna have plenty of room. I got about, I don't know, 2.5 inches there around the strut tower. Wastegate dump is pretty clear of everything, and it's behind the motor mount. Downpipe is pretty free and open back here. Just have to reroute these heater core lines. But other than that, it's actually looking pretty good. It's like right even with the tops of the fenders, so I won't have any issues with clearance. I can pivot this kind of wherever I want it, keep it down like this, probably just run like a 90 right off of here. The only thing that I think happened in shipping was one of the studs kind of got beefcaked a little bit. You can see it has a bend in it, and then this side is all nicked up, but I think that happened in shipping, so I just took that one out. I'll just put a new stud in there, should be perfect. And this will save me a lot of time, and then I can start working on the intake and stuff, and it's coming along. So still got to get like a rear end for it. I'm going to do a narrowed 8.8 in the rear. So I'll have to pick up one of those, start working on the intake. Things seem like they're starting to roll and come together, but my plan with this one is to not have this ready until like next year. So it's not going to be like a 1 or 2 month project. It's going to be kind of take my time and then try to get it out next year sometime. So, but we'll see where that goes. Sometimes you get excited and you get stuff done a little bit earlier. I might start it on like a stock ECU first before I do aftermarket ECU. I'm still kind of torn on what ECU I want to do. I wanted to try to do it on a Terminator X, but I've been looking at the Max ECU stuff because like the Max ECU will do the VVT control, and it would be kind of cool to learn a new program. So still up in the air with what I want to do with that. If not, I do have the stock computer just to get it like started and running. So this thing is in there now. It does fit really well, and I think it looks pretty good in the Volvo. So big thanks to Kelvin and his dad and Sumner for building this thing and eventually passing it on down to me. This is really cool, and I'm glad we'll be able to put it to some use. Go check out their YouTube channel. I'm sure if you're watching this stuff, you probably know about their channel, but Nivlac57, they've done quite a few of these builds in different vehicles, and they're making like 800 horsepower on some of them. They're doing stock bottom end stuff, built bottom end stuff. A lot of work with these motors over the last 4 to 5 years. So if you're interested in this thing but don't know about them, go check them out. And it is really cool to have kind of like a unique one-off piece on there. So I don't know if there's any more of those things out there floating around. I think this is the only one. But thanks for watching. Have a good one.